Normatec recovery systems give you a high-tech compression massage for warm-up pre-workout and recovery post-workout.
The technology is very safe and is used by a broad range of athletic types and really any fitness enthusiast looking to get the most out of their workout.
The whole idea is that we're using air compression to help increase circulation in the body. We wanted to mimic physiology, the way the body moves fluids. We went ahead and took a lot of those principles and put it into a system that you can use on your different extremities and your hips as well.
Normatec has been an industry leader in pneumatic compression, providing improved mobility and profound healing to thousands of patients. We continually work with researchers to study and develop the effectiveness of our technology.
It's all about creating that community space where people have a conversation around recovery and start really challenging their beliefs in what is possible and what they've known and maybe what could be.
Come on, move. Of course, there aren't any spots. A few minutes won't hurt anybody. Thanks, Grandma.
Paralyzed Veterans of America works tirelessly every day to create a more accessible America. Let's leave the accessible spaces to the people who actually need them. Whatever the reason, excuses don't excuse. Join PVA and be part of the solution. Honor the spot.
Okay, hello and welcome. Sorry for that delay. Having technical difficulties connecting. All good now, I believe. So, welcome. That gives us only 3.5 minutes. It's an extra minute I don't have to fill before the race. So, welcome. Yeah, as you see there, that's the last in the series of community races before we get to the effectively, I guess, the playoffs. So we've had 9 races today. We're at 29th January there, Joe Martin's stage race in Fayetteville, Arkansas. There's been some great racing up to now. We'll bring you some of the results and some of the key riders as we go through the races. But we've got a lineup of great races for you today. So yeah, there we go. League championships start in a couple of weeks' time. So all the riders, this is part of the, obviously there's the community racing, and there's also some of the pro racing that takes place after the community races. So everyone's been riding week in, week out. Not everybody's done all the weeks, but the people at the top of the ladder are the ones who put in consistent efforts over that time. It's a great effort to put that in over time. So yeah, made possible by the Paralyzed Veterans of America, RGT, obviously is the platform that we're on. And one of the key features of this this series of racing and RGT is the use of virtually, and obviously in the real world, of those paracycling recumbents that you see there. I think the only platform, certainly the first platform and the only platform to be able to offer that, which is great for those riders who have to use that because of disability or injury and so on. So yeah, it's great to see them. That'll be one of the races that comes to you later on today. So this is the course that we're going to be using today, the Joe Martin Criterium course. As I said, it's around Fayetteville in Arkansas, in the US. For us, of course, say us, I'm in the UK commentating on these. It's about 4 o'clock. For them, it's about 11. So yeah, 505 meters climbing in total, I believe. That's not on each lap. Each lap is about a bit over a mile, 2 kilometers. So I'm trying to, we use kilometers, miles, it'll be about a mile and a quarter, a bit more than a mile and a quarter, I think. So that's the, it's a classic crit course. And this is the type of crit course that you see in lots of cities around the world, usually a couple of like a mile and a half long, lots of nice twisty corners, and the riders will have to really watch out on the corners to make sure they don't get dropped as they go around there. So we go to the start line now. We've got the men's A and the men's B races, both starting at the same time. So yeah, what have we got? We'll give you some of the names. Yes, we've got there's the men's B, 26 riders on the line there, including our camera. So Harris, I think that's a Polish flag there. Helfenstein, Chan, Ralph, Little, Nelson, Brumana, another Nelson, Borders, Mutis, and we'll be picking out some of the riders. So we've only got 20 seconds to the start now. We'll have a quick look at the men's A race. So there's Paul Watmo, we know him from various others. Mike Swat, who runs RGTDB, very strong rider. Cooper, Solly. We've got 28 riders in total, so we'll pick up some of the others as we go along. So ready to kick off now. The riders will be, it'll be always a fast start online. And there you see big red numbers, big red bars as the riders kick off in this first race. So they will do, as you say, 33 kilometers there, which is, I think, a little over 8 laps. I might have had the time. It might be 4 kilometers. No, it's 16 laps. Sorry, getting my maths wrong. So Mike Lister there, you see at the top there. Mike is actually the series leader in the men's A races. Gav Ash, very strong sprinter, putting in a big effort. I think at this race, probably just a little bit at this stage of the race, probably just a bit overshooting the line. And the bunch is more or less back together. A couple of riders off the back there I can see in both the A and the B, but mostly still together. There's Abbott there. I'm going to try and pick out some of these names. This is the first of the community series that I've done for RGT, so I'm going to have to pick out some of the riders as we go along. When you do a series, you often get to know the riders. So Greg Abbott there, USA Cycling, obviously I say local US rider, and we're seeing Nordland there with a Finnish flag, Cooper there, so plenty of Americans showing the flag there. Paul Watmo with the British flag on the front there. He'll certainly be in at the end. Sorry, the USA Cycling is just the crit, so it might not be US. But yeah, Paul Watmo, definitely not USA Cycling. It's brought to you under USA Cycling, is the connection there. So Jaeger there in the front, so no real big effort. So we're sort of coming up to a little bit of a climb there. So this is the sort of thing that tests them out. Jaden Jaeger, sorry. This is the sort of thing that tests them out a lot. When you're going and doing a crit like this, if you've got a little bit of a kick each time, really tests the riders, because every time they go up, somebody you can guarantee will put in a bit of effort, and the bunch has to chase them. And it just uses up, give a bit of lactic acid in your legs, uses up a bit of power, uses up a match, as we say, and it takes a toll as you go through on each lap. So Nordland there, putting out a bit of an effort on that little uphill, and similarly on the men's B, who are at a very similar stage. We've got Kutluka there. I've seen him in many RGT races, very strong rider. So he's putting in some effort there on the hills. They're all putting in an effort to keep up. You can see all that, look, a whole screen of red power numbers going up that little rise there, and that's what you'll have to do every time. And you can be sure, you're already seeing, if you look just up the back of the shot there, you can see riders dropping off the back. Every time you go up there, at least a couple of riders will drop off the back of that bunch as we go up to the up that little hill. So I'm just going to try and bring you some, so we're back in the A. There's Brask there, so he's been dropped off, one of the Danish riders, a lot of Danish riders on RG10. Paul, surprisingly, couldn't stay with the bunch up that climb, so he's now dropped back. There we've got Sarnecki in 13th place. We see Brown just ahead of him, so we're going to try and go up through the field and see if we can pick out how many are in there. So there we go. Gargulo, who I'm pretty sure I saw on Friday night riding in one of the races, the Friday Frenzy ride. So that's good of him to back up. He is in this bunch of, I think, 11 riders now. So that's 11 riders. So it's already whittled down by a couple of riders. Just on that little rise was enough to bring people off the back of that bunch. Probably the same thing happening in the B. So, yep, here we go. We've got the 17th place. Helfenstein in the B, Mutis with, I believe that's Lithuanian flag, Aponte with the American flag there, Nelson and Adcock in 12th and 13th place. So that means we should have, 13th and 14th place. So that brings us up to 12th into 12 now in the front group in the B race. So that they'll settle down now. They've got a little bit of a downhill, and then a little bit of a valley and flat, and then up again on the other side. So it's quite a testing course. Only a short course, but quite a testing course. And every time they go up, those little climbs, they're not long and they're not steep, but they're enough for somebody to put in an effort. When you've got a bunch of 10, 12 riders, somebody's going to put in an effort every time. You can guarantee it. And you, as a rider in one of these bunches, you just think, oh, please, can we just not take it easy? But no, somebody will always put in some effort going up these climbs. And now we see Gavash there. We saw, I think it was, did I catch the name? Hackleton, yep, in the B race, putting in some effort on the bunch there. So it's a good thing. If you're feeling strong, put in a bit of effort and you just test out. Maybe you'll whittle people down. Maybe you get it down to a bunch where you can then feel a bit more confident in making an attack, because there are fewer people who are able to chase you down and close the gaps. So there's Mike Lister there coming to the front in the men's A race. As I said, Mike is actually the series leader in the community A race. He's also been riding in the pro races. Mike, a very strong rider, big, very active rider on RGT, very active in all sorts of other ways, does organises races and does some news and other things as well. So he's a big RGT fan and a big RGT presence. So great to see Mike, flying the flag for his own racing. He's been doing very well. It was great to see Mike get into the pro racing and racing for one of the pro teams. So he'll be up later on. I guess these are sort of warm-ups for Mike. So as long as he's sensible, doesn't do anything too much, then it's a good warm-up for the main race. So sticking now with the A race, we've still got this bunch of about Yeah, what have we got? Still 11 riders. No, we've seen. Oh, Gargulo has, I think, has dropped off there. Yep, he's 90 meters back. So Gargulo has also dropped back on that last little climb. So every time we go up these climbs, someone is dropping off the back of one of these bunches. It's tough. It's tough to keep on. Mike Swart doing the victory celebration, possibly slightly early there. I think it's /win, I think, is the shortcut, if I remember correctly, to do the victory celebration. Maybe he's just testing it out, but well, that's a brave thing to do with 28 kilometers still to go. But well done, Mike, at least for showing us how it's done. Johan Nordlund there from Finland in 10th place. So this bunch is now down to 10 riders who still have 28 kilometers to go on this, I guess, fairly rolling course. And I think we're already lapping someone. Gosh, I'm surprised that they've caught up that quickly, especially in the A race, possibly some sort of technical problem. So here we go, numbers going into the red now. So, you know, there's no hanging back. There's no relaxing on these little climbs. You've got to make sure you're on the wheel. You've got to make sure you're there when you get to the top. Otherwise, the gap goes out very, very quickly. So we've got Dumper there from Canada, Solly from Norway. We're going to watch them both. Looks like the B race is about 500 meters back there, slightly slower pace on the same course than the A race, not surprisingly. Although, you know, you race the race. Sometimes, especially in real life, even a more elite race or a high race can be slower because people are being a bit cagey and are just racing each other rather than racing to a time. It's not a time trial after all. But in this case, they are a bit faster in the A race, but with the B race here, so we've still got 11. We're going up in the middle of this climb. Nobody showing signs of dropping off so far, which is good, but certainly some red numbers keeping them honest there. A little bit of a gap there, but I think they'll get that back. Got a few meters still to go to the top of this climb, so hopefully they won't lose track. It's always, it's always a big mental thing when you're in one of these races, whether it's a virtual race or a real life race. You're getting to the top of that climb, you've just got to dig in and make a little bit more effort to make sure you get to the top. And often when you do that, you get a bit of recovery on the way down. The worst thing is when you give up and then you see the bunch sort of ease off a bit, but they're 20, 30 meters ahead of you and it's too late to catch up then. Often happens that the bunch, there's a period of, for whatever, somebody's attacking or it's there we go, through the finish line now. So the A's have gone through the finish line, the B's just going through the finish line now. So yeah, as I say, it's often a difficult thing when there's a bit of technical, maybe it's a technical part of the course or a bit of a climb, a bit of attacking, and there's often a period which tests everybody. The mental thing is, can you put up with it a little bit more than everybody else? And sometimes you give up and you let the wheel go, and then you see 50 meters down the road that they've decided to ease up a bit. And if you'd just made that little bit more effort, you would have been in there and you would have been able to recover, but too late. So I think everybody's stayed safe there. What are we seeing? No, I think we're seeing the Bs there. We've got Honcho and Hackleton. So Hackleton, who we saw at the front, and Borders. So actually the Bs, that little rise has taken it down from 11 to 8. So Honcho there in 9. It's not impossible. It's 40 meters. A big effort would get there. There's two of them together. If they can work together, put in some big numbers. They've got a little bit of a downhill here. Come on, Mike. Put in, yes, come on. He's putting in 5 watts kilo. Come on. You've got to close it fast. That's always the secret to any gap. Don't try to do it over time. You've got to put in maximum effort, get back to that bunch and do it as fast as possible. The difficulty here is I think he is going to close it. It's gone from 40. It's now just under 20, just under 30, 25. They're going to do it, but they're going to do it just as we get to another rise. So it's a difficult time. Hopefully he'll get in there, and he's still going to have to keep going. They're not going to get much time to recover. Yes, well done, Hackleton and Honcho. Good effort there to get back onto that bunch. But don't let the gap go again. No, keep that wheel, because they've got a little bit of a rise coming up and he's got to make sure that he gets into the bunch. That's another thing when you're, again, in real life or virtual racing, when you get back to the bunch, don't sit on the back. Make sure you go up in the bunch, try and get into the middle, and then you've got a little bit more, you've got more wheels around you, and you've got a little bit more time to recover before you go back. So looks like they're safely in the middle there. This rise about kicking up there to 6%, but I don't think it'll be for long. So hopefully Hackleton and Honcho will stay in that bunch, which brings it back to 10. So back to the men's A race now. There's Mike again on the front. We picked out Mike Swart there, looking comfortable in this bunch of 10 riders. And yeah, big gaps now back to, so it looks like Gullo and Brown have decided they seem to be riding, and there's about 50, 60 meters separating them. So we've got this bunch of 10 riders now with some high quality riders here. Kellison, Mount, Abbott, Lister, we can see their names there, Dumper, Jaeger, who haven't I picked out? Gav Ash, and I think, yeah, that's it. So this is an elite group of 10 who are going to contest the remaining 20, just under 24, 25 kilometers of this race, which if I think correctly is about 15, 16 miles. So here we got, hey, Salty, yep, looked like he just might have had a little bit of a gap there. Torleif Salty, Norwegian flag there. Looked like a little bit of a gap there, but he quickly closed it down. As I said, what we're not seeing in the profile is the overhead. So, you know, as you can see through the front ahead shot, there are quite a lot of corners here, and you've really got to pay attention on the corners. In any race, real life or virtual, you can just get on the wrong side of the pack, you can be in the wrong place, and you just lose a bit of ground as you come out of the corner. And often what happens is the bunch, especially at the front, powers out of the corner. Yeah, so there's a good shot of a fairly tight corner, and you can see how it stretches out there. So you see those riders there, Salty at the back there, Mount in the middle, so there's already a bit of a gap just going around that corner. The guys at the front there on the red, because it's also going into that hill, so they're taking the opportunity of both the corner and the hill to put in a bit of effort, and that has really stretched out this small bunch. Really good tactical racing there from so Jaeger, Lister and Swart on the front. So that's great riding to try to take the opportunity as we come through the finish line again, as they try to take the opportunity to just whittle away at the bunch. Because, you know, if you've got a bunch of 10 and you can whittle it down to a bunch of 5 or 6, well, you're guaranteed whatever happens. Even if you're not a great sprinter, you're guaranteed 5th or 6th place, which might be better than what you would get in the lottery of a bunch finish. So it's always good tactics if you can do what you can to whittle away, especially if you're not one of the riders who has a big finish with big watts at the end. So we're seeing the bunch in the A's there and the bunch in the B's. Yeah, looks like for all that effort, looks like Honcho and Hackleton, that last little rise was too much for them, and it looks like they've been properly gapped now. So we've got 8 now in the B. But you know, good effort. It was good effort from them to get back, not give up. But obviously, that's the problem. So you burn matches. They made a big effort to get back in there. They had that little rise coming straight afterwards, and obviously next time they were called upon to burn a match, they found that they had none left. So bad luck there, but hopefully they will. There's about 40 meters separating them, and I see Borders not far back, so maybe those 3 guys can group up. Yeah, 106 meters back, 140, 170. So 70 or 80 meters covering those 3 riders, Hackleton, Honcho and Borders. If they can pair up, I don't think they'll catch this front bunch again, but hopefully the 3 of them can pair up and or pair up, trio up, and ride together to make sure that they're not caught by more riders behind, and also have a little race amongst themselves. Often what happens in these online races, where you get such a diverse range of ability that what people tend to do is it becomes race within a race. You race the riders around you, you race the people that you know are at your level, or you race people in your, if it's an age group thing, you race people there. So there we saw Hackleton there in 9th place, Honcho now just coming through the finish line, and there's Borders back in 11th place. So if Borders can make a bit of an effort there and catch up with Honcho, and then they can get together up to Hackleton, then they might form a little group. So Billing a bit further back now. He's another 200, more than 200 meters back. So I don't see Andrew Billing there. Don't see him being able to catch Borders, Honcho, and Hackleton ahead, but not far back from Billing to Adcock. So that's maybe another couple of riders who can get together and work together to keep decent pace throughout the race. So back to 14th place, Nelson, Aponte there, the US flag just cresting that little sharp but clearly quite vicious rise. Little there, we saw in the front bunch earlier on, and Mutis with the, I do want to say Latvian, no, it's not Latvian, Lithuanian. I'm pretty sure it's one of the Baltic flags, but maybe somebody can tell me. Tyler there with the US flag, Vistula, Danish, and Roberts in a little trio there. Tyler looking like he's just being overtaken by the two of them there as they crest that little rise. Helfenstein there with the US flag in 21st place. Looks to sort of be in no man's land there. He's got 100 meters to the rider ahead and 50-60 meters to the rider behind, which is who we see now. Schultz still riding strongly, putting in 3.2 watts per kilo as we go up that little rise. Brumana there with the Italian flag. So they've often, what you have to do if you're not in the front bunch is just settle in, keep a steady pace, ride it at a pace that you can sustain for the whole race. So we're back with the front bunches now in the A's and the B's. Let's see if anything's happened. So we've still got 9th in the A bunch, and we look to still have 8 in the B. So I think the situation is the same as when we left it last time in both of those bunches. But we're coming up to another of those sharp little rises, and we'll see what happens. Again, as we go up here, they come thick and fast. There is really very little rest on this course. Now there's little downhills, but gosh, it is a nice little course. But then that's crit racing. That's criterium racing for you to come through the finish yet again in the B race. That's crit racing for you. There really is no rest in crit racing. Even if it's a flat course in crit racing, you're always got riders powering out of those corners. And making a big effort. And if you're at the back of a bunch, midway to the rear of a bunch, then what happens is you get that caterpillar effect. There's often a gap coming out of the corner, and you have to make even more effort coming out of the corner to catch back on the bunch. And we're seeing a little bit of that, I think, on some of these corners here, particularly the ones that are coming into the hills. So big red numbers there for the front bunch there, Swat, Salty, Nordland, Lister, Mount, Dumper, Abbott, Ash, all putting in, apologies if I missed anybody there, but all putting in big numbers coming up this little rise to make sure they're caught. Mike Swat there got a little bit of a gap. I think he may have just overshot the power. I don't think he's trying to get away, but we'll see as they come through the finish line yet again. I think they're going to chase Mike down. It's not a serious attack. It's just a little bit of a gap that he overshot, so he came up there, and the bunch will get back to him again. Mike looking very colour coordinated there on his very nice sort of it's not a lime green, a sort of sage green BMC, matching his jersey there with the dark green to the light green, sort of a forest green, shall we say. Looking good there. There's Mike. Of course, you can choose different bikes, not complete custom, but different bikes and different kits. So people tend to use quite a lot of the White Canyons being used there. Of course, this series in this race is being brought to you by Saris, who do a great line in lots of things, actually. They're a very diverse company. I've certainly used them with their bike racks, which they're very well known for, and they also have trainers. Indoor trainers, which is a very appropriate thing for virtual cycling. So Mike, actually, I said that wasn't a serious attack, but it has come out. I mean, partly that's because they've just come down this little, they've come over that hill, they've crested that hill and are coming down, and 15 meters very quickly turns into 30 or 40 meters just because of the distance and the increased speed. But it has got out very quickly. I'm slightly surprised that the riders behind have let it go, and Mike has a bit of a gap now up to Mike. I mean, it's probably too far out. If it was maybe 5-6 kilometers to go, I think Mike would be thinking, maybe I should make what I can of this gap and stay out. But I think at 18 kilometers to go, it would be a very, very brave rider who decided to try and power away and stay away, particularly with some, strong riders behind. Although, as I said, Mike Lister is doing the pro racing later, so he won't be wanting to drag the whole bunch along and do a major effort. He needs to save his legs for later on. I'm trying to think. Gav Ash, certainly. No, Gav actually has dropped off, so Gav is not in that group anymore. So we're about down to 8 now in the group. So that little rise has done for Gav Ash as well. So we're down to 8. So it's a question of who's going to, they're caught back to him now. So again, the opposite effect. So I said the 15 meters very quickly becomes 40-50 meters on a downhill, and 40-50 meters very quickly becomes 10-15 meters and no meters on an uphill. So I didn't think it was a serious attack, and Mike, obviously being very sensible, decided to let the bunch capture him again and just ride along in the bunch as much as he can. I've said it before and I'll say it again. First rule of racing, never do anything you don't have to. So wise of Mike to stay there. So we're back in the Bs now. So here we go with Placido with the Portuguese flag in 8th place. So we'll check how that bunch is going. So that bunch has now gone down from 8 to 7. Now in the B race, still with 19 kilometers to go. So we're not halfway yet in either of these A and B races, but the bunch has been whittling down steadily. So Hans Kuttlicker there, the German flag, David Brocu with the Dutch flag there, Nelson, American Prince, with the Canadian flag. So looking comfortable, but who will be the next to draw the short straw and drop out on one of these little climbs? So we've seen the A's now coming down this little rise. Nordland there, splitting up again. But again, I think that's just course dynamics and riders getting a little bit of a gap as they crest. And it will quickly come back together as they hit the bottom and come back up the other side. Solly and Mount there in 6th and 7th place, trying to get back on. But Mike Lister has there's a 60-meter gap back to Mike Lister. Now, as I said, Mike is racing the pro race later on, so Mike could absolutely keep up with his bunch if he really wanted to, but I think sensibly he's probably using it as a bit of a warm-up and is not going to put in a massive effort to try and chase down. It looks like he's decided to let the bunch go now. So the bunch is now down to 7 riders without Mike. So that could be a time for somebody. I mean, 16 kilometers, still a long way to go, but it does mean that if anybody wants to put in a big attack, that one of the riders who could potentially chase them down, possibly not over a long period because of wanting to save his legs, but certainly in a short range attack, Mike would be well able to cover some of the short gaps. So Jamie Dumper there, if I may, with the Canadian flag. In 2nd place there, going along behind Nordland, our Finnish rider. And again, just Nordland seems to be one of these people who likes to just push it a little bit. Johan Nordland likes to push it a little bit up these climbs. Very sensible. I mean, maybe it's because he's just, trying to test them out, but also it's just sensible to make sure that you don't get a gap and you're not being left behind here. If you've got the legs and you're comfortable doing it, then why not? Make sure that you're the one who is at the front and not going to be distant. So same thing here as we crest that little rise now on the B race. It looks like we've got Kudlika and Prince, and that's a bit of a gap now. They've got 70 meters. So we have a breakaway. We have a breakaway in the men's B race. Nelson trying to chase them down, but his numbers aren't in the red now, so I don't think he's making a massive effort to try and bridge across to these riders. So Nelson, I think, has so we've got a really broken up ride now. So we've got Kudlika and Prince out front. We've got Nelson in third, who is in no man's land between them. And now we come back to 4, 5, 6, and 7, a little group of 4 riders, the remnants of that front group, who have obviously lost the wheel of Kudlika and Prince, but are riding along, and they've now got 160 meters. So they've let that group go. Doesn't look like anybody's putting in massive efforts there. We're seeing mostly sort of blues and greens, which means they're riding well below threshold. And wow, similarly in the men's A, we have a break. We have Nordland. We noticed at that previous little rise that Nordland was putting in some consistent efforts going up those little climbs, and it seems that one of them has paid off, and he's now got a decent gap of 70 meters. So a very similar situation in the A race. It's all exploding at roughly the same time. Nordland has a gap of 50 meters back to Jaeger. Jaeger going to the red numbers there. So Jaeger is definitely trying to bridge across to Nordland. If they can get 2 riders together, that's very sensible. They can work together, try and keep together and keep away. So they're coming up to this little rise now. So I think Jaeger will get onto Nordland's wheel here, and we'll have a front pair. So a mirror from the men's A and the B race, a front pair away. We've got now, just looking back there, so I thought there might have been a third ride in the middle, but it looks like we've got Dumper, Abbott, Swart, Solly and Mount. So that group has stayed together. We haven't got anybody in the middle. So we've got a group now of four riders who are working together. Mount, no, he's back in 7. So Mount has been distanced. Yeah, I thought I saw a gap. So Mount has been distanced. So we've got 2 riders out front, and then we've got 4 riders chasing that group ahead. So Nordland and Jaeger now putting in some big numbers here, 6-7 watts per kilo as we go up that little rise. If they can crest this rise with a 50-60 meter gap, as they look to be doing, that will quickly go out to I think, well, easily over 100 meters as they go down the other side. It's a little bit of a flat or a slight plateau as you go past the finish line there. And that's going to be an interesting finish. Certainly, if anybody comes to the line with other people on their wheel, it's going to be a real power finish coming up to that finish line. So Nordland and Jaeger now coming down the other side. So yeah, as I said, that 50-60 meters has quickly gone out to 100 meters as they come down, and they have a little bit of a so what do we got? -3-4% here, a little bit more of a plateau, and then an even sharper descent to come. So they've got a few hundred meters of this, which gives them a chance to recover. As you can see, they're in sort of Nordland there in sort of light blue, Jaeger in the darker blue, meaning that they're recovering pretty well. They're doing, they're taking turns, which is good. They have to keep the power up. They have to keep the speed up. But they're doing sort of 4 or 5 watts, and then occasionally having a chance to ease back to 3 or 4. We just got this little. It's not a flat. It's -2, -3, but it won't be quite as much of a descent as you get in other parts of the course. But now they're heading to -4 and 7, so they will. Yeah, we see Nordland there back to 1.5, very sensible, getting a bit of recovery on Jaeger's wheel. Jaeger back at 3 watts per kilo, so getting a bit of recovery as we come down. So what's happening now in the B race? So we're still, Kudlika and Prince have put in wow. It's almost identical, isn't it? So Kudlika, both of the pairs have about 260, 270 meters. But they're almost 2 kilometers back on the B race. So actually, I think they're at almost identical parts of the course, but just a lap difference. So Kudlika and Prince have exactly the same sort of gap, 260 meters as Jaeger and Nordland have in the A race. yeah, nearly at the same point in the race, which is interesting. And interesting how the tactics have evolved or have emerged almost identically. So we had attacks at almost the same time, same point on the race, slightly, well, I say a lap different, but very similar points in the race and very similar parts of the course. And both with a pair of riders, or one strong rider breaking away and another rider bridging up to join them and work together. Very sensible. Always getting the break was what one of my old coaches used to say, although, you know, these all 7 or 8 riders in the respective A and B groups were in the break. And, you know, it means even if 2 riders break away, well, you're still aiming for a top 6 or 7 finish, even if you finish back in the bunch. So we cross the start line now, again in the finish line, start-finish line in the A race. And we can see, I think, the B race just coming up to it. So they're about a lap and a tiny bit further back, coming up to this little rise. So yeah, it's about say 2 kilometers in each lap. So Nordland and Jaeger now taking it away. So they're maintaining their 260-meter gap as they got to that finish. So that's going to go out even more. So it's always one of the things in the crits. As a rider and as a spectator, one of the great things about crits is they come around so often that you're always looking to see, well, has the gap got bigger? Has the distance gone out? Has the time gap increased on each lap? That's one of the most exciting things about it. If you ever get a chance to watch any, I'm not sure what it's like in America, in the UK and in Europe, we have what we call town crits, where they will do it on a course similar like this, so around a city course. I'm sure you do the same thing over there. In Europe, you have what they call them kermesses in Belgium, but very similar thing, a short course around a village or a town. And it's great racing because you've got riders flashing by all the time. So Jaeger and Nordland now have brought that gap out to 400 meters. So Abbott, I think, has decided he's had enough of riding with this little bunch of 4, and Abbott now is deciding to break away. So Abbott breaking away just as we come to this little downhill. He'll certainly bring a gap to the bottom, but the question will be, can he maintain it going up the other side? If he can put in some decent power going up the other side, crest that rise and take that gap, then he might be able to maintain a gap to that chasing bunch of 3 and keep away for the rest of the race. So he's got 10 kilometers to go. Yeah, a bit under a third of the race, and they've done 34. So we're looking at about 45, 50-minute race. Typical crit. Often what happens in closed circuits and crits is obviously on a thing like RGT, you have to specify the number of laps, but usually what happens on a short course with a crit is the race might be 50 minutes or an hour plus 3 laps or plus 5 laps. So you race for 50 minutes and then there's a whistle or the lap board goes up and says you've got 3 laps to go, and that becomes the distance of the race. So it doesn't matter really how fast you go. You can race it as slow as you like, but when you get to that 50 minutes, it's 3 laps to go. I can assure you I've never been in a slow crit race. They always do end up being fast because of that attempt to whittle down the field. Somebody's always trying to get people off their wheels. So we're back behind that, not front group, front pair, chaser and the group behind, and this is the group further back. So I don't know whether to call them the third group or the fourth group on the road. The third group if you take the pair. So we've got Lister, Kellison, Brask. So Lister, we saw let that group go as he takes it a little bit easy ahead of his pro race earlier on. We've got Cooper there in 11th place and Collins there in 12th, and I think they might be lapping Galino is why he's showing 16th. So yeah, we've got this little group of 4 riders here who are still working away, but some way back on the bunch that is competing for the finish. We saw Gargulo there, who was in the early bunch, being overtaken now by Brown, moving up from 15th to 14th place. Hopefully those guys will work together. We've got Golino there, in 16th, and I'm guessing that means that Galino has actually been lapped by Cooper and Collins. Doesn't stop him being able to ride with them and work with them. Pereira there, Portuguese rider, in 17th place, is quite some way back. So some way back on, I think even a couple of laps back on the front riders. Pesalin there, Spanish flag, long way further back. So Eagle Eye there. Yep, these guys have got 15.8 kilometers to go. So they're some 5 or 6 kilometers back on the front riders who were already under 10 kilometers to go. Umu, with the German flag, there in 20th place. So we come back to the front of the race now in both A and B. So Nordland and Jaeger are maintaining their gap. Abbott there, if we see, is 340 meters behind, and Swart and the rest of that group at 540. So Abbott has come up that other side in good shape, has maintained the gap to the others, and is now in a sort of no man's land between the front pair and the chasing trio. In the other race, in the B race, we have Kutlika and Prince, who are also working together nicely, maintaining their gap. Nobody is seriously chasing them. They've got 560 meters now, which is a quarter of a lap or more back to the chasing bunch of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders behind them. So Broku, Nelson, 2 Nelsons, Harest and Chan, who are chasing Prince and Kutlika. Well, I say chasing, they're not. I'm sure if Prince and Kutlika suddenly blow up and lose all their energy, then they will be swallowed up very quickly. But I think what we're seeing is a race for the front and a race for 3rd place between these two groups. So Prince and Kutlika there looking strong, and I'm pretty sure that they will be taking it to the end of the race. But these guys aren't going to give up. They're there, they're ready to pounce if something happens, and somebody gives up or has a mechanical or so on. So Nelson with the American flag, Harest with the Polish flag, Chan there with the Canadian, M. Nelson also with the US flag, and these are the 4 riders who, 5 riders. Broku from with the Dutch flag. Sorry, I missed him out. These are the 5 riders who are making up the chase team. Richard Nelson, thank you for bringing up that graphic from our producer there, Damon, and clearing up. So we've got R. Nelson and M. Nelson, both with the American flags, and Vistula there, showing in 13th place. So I think Vistula is a lap back. But he'll take the opportunity to pick up those wheels while he can and get some extra speed, extra distance as he tries to finish the race. So David Broku there in 3rd place, leading this bunch up the little rise with 10 kilometers exactly to go in the B race, and Kutlika and Prince 300 meters out in front, but that will quickly go up as we go down the other side of this little rise here. So we're going to go back to the dual screen here of the A and the B. Abbott there with his lone solo effort, but good effort. He's bringing it out against the bunch chasing. So the Swart Dumper and Salty bunch. Oh no, Salty has dropped off. Salty, the Norwegian rider, has I say dumped because I saw a dumper, has fallen off the back of this little trio here. So Swart and Dumper look like they're going to continue riding strongly. Salty has let them go and now has a 35 meter gap up to them. Not unrecoverable. It's the bottom of this little descent. He'll be able to, if he puts in a big effort right now, he would be able to get back on their wheel, but he really needs to do it now, and I'm not seeing the numbers going. He's doing 2.53 watts per kilo, and Swart and Dumper are doing over 4. So he needs to go big red now if he's going to get on the wheel of these guys and maintain himself as part of this trio. So he's going red now. He's going up to 5 watts per kilo now, but I think it might be a little bit too late. I think you really need to put that effort in. Solly there, sorry, I was saying salty, that's my eyesight. Solly there with the Ratio Racing, that's that little 2 reversed R's, but I think he's just left that effort a little bit late. You really need to push at the base of those climbs to catch up, and you can catch up very quickly if you come with big speed into those climbs. You can get on the wheel very quickly, but I think he left it a little bit late, and now we see the gap, as we're not even at the top of the climb yet, the gap from Solly to Swart and Dumper has gone out to over 60 or 70 meters, and I think Solly can say goodbye to Swart and Dumper. Yep, I think he is going to realize that he's not going to catch them. I mean, he's still doing 4.5 watts per kilo, but I think he's realizing that he's not going to catch those guys, Swart and Dumper. And so they're going to continue as a pair. So, back at the front of the race now, Jaeger and Nordland. We see on the left there, Jaeger and Nordland back at the front of the race with getting into the pointy end now, so under 5 kilometers. We're under the 5 kilometer banner now for Jaeger, Jaden Jaeger and Johan Nordland in the A race. They have a good 600 meter lead to Abbott, who has put in an excellent effort to chase them in third, and looks like he will be securing the third place podium. Don't think he's going to catch the front pair, but equally don't think he's going to be caught by Swart and Dumper, although it's 400 meters. It's not impossible, depending on whether Abbott can maintain that power. In the B race, so Kutlika there has a little bit of a gap. Is this an attack from Kutlika? Kutlika and Prince were riding nicely together, but I saw, no, Prince has got back on his wheel. I just saw that gap go out to sort of 10, 15 meters as we came across the crest of that climb. So I wondered whether Prince might have found it hard going up that little rise, but they're back together. There's Honcho there. How quickly so Honcho there being lapped. I mean, Honcho was with this front group that had Prince and Kutlika in it not that long ago, but so quickly you can be lapped on these courses, particularly once you sort of start to ease back to a steady pace. So Honcho's going to ride with them there, take advantage of a bit of draft, take advantage of some wheels, as can Prince and Kutlika. So they're back together. They have 7 kilometers to go. So now a bit of I think a lap and a half behind the front riders. I should mention Mike Swart, who's in the A race. He is in second place overall. And I'm just going to have a quick look. So Broku, we saw Broku in that, David Broku in that bunch chasing. He is the leader in the B series. Borders, we see there, B Borders is in 10th place here and is in 3rd place overall. Has done most. I think what you're finding is these aren't necessarily guys who are winning the races, but they're doing it consistently and they're getting consistent places. And that's obviously the key to any series. And we're also seeing some good riding there. I'm just checking to see if Kutlika or Prince have been doing previous races, but yeah, I'm not seeing them. Certainly, I'm not in the first few. So sort of first page, sort of the 50 riders. So maybe they have, but are further down. But it looks like some of those riders on the first page have only done one. So we're seeing there now. So okay, so we're going to stick with the A and B race, but we're coming to the end. We've only got 3 kilometers to go in the race, and as we see now, they're lining up for the next, which is going to start in just under 5 minutes time. We have the women's open, and I can't quite see how many riders we have on the line, but what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 riders there on the line. I can see Anna Ronkainen there, who is the Finnish rider, and she's the leader of the women's series. We've got also the hand cycling and the paracycling. So they'll all be kicking off together in just under 5 minutes time. We will cover them all. We will probably have finished the men's A race. We'll probably have a little bit to go in the men's B race. So we'll be juggling some racing as we go into that multi-event. So yeah, there we're seeing the lineup now of the women's race and back to the men's A race now. So Nordland and Jaeger keeping it together as we come up this little rise. This will be the last time they come up here on a lap. Next time they come up here will be to the finish, and that will be the, well, they're putting out 7-8 watts per kilo coming up here now with a lap to go. So next time they come up, it'll be absolutely all, I'd say all hands to the pump, all legs to the pump, or legs will be pumping hard as they come up. Whoever can crest that little rise with, what's that, about 40, 50 meters to go. If you can crest that little rise ahead, then and take your speed up, then I think whoever will get that to the top of that rise first will be the one who wins. I can't see it, that 40, 50 meters being made up if you're not already in front crossing there. So Nordland now has taken a bit of a gap over that climb, but not a serious gap. Jaeger is closing it down. So these two riders have a 450 meter 450 meter gap over Greg Abbott in third place, and then it's another 300 or more meters back to Swart and Dumper. So that looks like our podium certainly is going to be Nordland, Jaeger and Abbott. Swart is going to get a good result and will probably move up in this series because he'll be finishing a few places ahead of Mike Lister. I'm just going to get a sense of the gap. So there's about 45 points between them. Off the top of my head, yeah, so Lister will be for a few 3 or 4 places back. So I think that might not be 35, might be only sort of 20 points, but it will certainly close the gap between first and second. Jaeger there, who's in, just looking at the gaps, the overall series, Jaeger there, Jaden Jaeger, is actually in 4th place overall. He's won 2 races. He's come second in another and looks like third in another. So some great results there from Jaden Jaeger. He hasn't done as many races as some of the other riders, but the ones he's done, he has finished very highly up and certainly looks to be keeping that as we go. Now we're into the final kilometre. We've come under the Flamme Rouge. We have 600 metres to go. So Nordland and Jaeger now coming up to this little rise. They're going to fight it out for the finish. If Jaeger can do that, he will certainly move up. He's 95 points, I think, or 85 points behind Mike Lister. So Jaeger could move to the front. So 500 metres to go. Jaeger and Nordland positioning themselves. Nordland coming to the front. I think Nordland, from previous efforts, will try to power up this climb. He certainly has the legs and the power to go up these little rises, but they're in the green now. Nobody's giving anything away now. Jaeger now going, oh, big effort by Nordland. Big effort, going big red, over 10 watts per kilo we saw flash up on the screen there. So Nordland has made his move. 270 metres to go for Nordland, 250. Jaeger trying hard. Jaeger now over 10 watts per kilo. Is Jaeger going to catch him? Jaeger getting on the wheel. He's in the draft of Nordland. Not much draft up the 10% slope, but he's on the wheel. He's going to go past. Yes, he powers past Nordland. He'll hit that rise first with a 15-metre gap. Nordland is not getting that back. So Jaeger is going to cross the line with a fantastically timed attack. Don't be the first to attack, be the second. And that was the good tactics for Jaden Jaeger there. Another win. That's the 3rd series win for Jaden Jaeger. But also an excellent result from Nordland. Well done to both those riders for animating this race and making a very good long-range attack with more than 10 kilometres to go, working together and powering across. So Abbott now bringing it in. It's got 200 metres to go. He's got nobody near him up this climb. He can not relax. Nobody's going to relax going up a climb like this, but he's not going to be caught. He's going to be safe in 3rd spot in the men's A race with 100 metres to go. Dumper and Swart together behind him with Solly not that much further back behind them, but he just couldn't keep on their wheel. So Abbott there, finishing off the podium there. Good finish there for Greg Abbott in 3rd place. So we've started on the other races, so we'll catch up with them. So yep, we've just started. So we're only about 500 metres into those races. So I'm going to try and call. So Swart there with Dumper. I think Dumper going past Swart on the Mike Swart on the line there. So Dumper taking 4th place and just putting in a big effort there to go past Mike Swart and take 5th. And then Solly will be safe in 6th place behind Mike Swart. He crosses there in 5th. Well done, Mike. That's a good result for him. Good consistent result. Solly there in 6th place. Kellison not that much further behind, only 30-40 meters, but he's not going to catch him in this. And then Lister and Mount together. I'm sure that Mike Lister will put in some big numbers to cross the line in, I think will be 8th place for Mike Lister. Oh, is Mount, Mount just pipped him on the line. Well done. Good effort there from Mount to just pip Mike Lister on the line. So Mike goes down into 9th place. Be interesting to see how that, I'm not sure what the points difference is between 5th and 9th. I think it goes to 5 points once you get down to that. So it'll probably be about 20-25 points different. So I don't think enough for Mike Swart to overtake Mike Lister at the top of the standing. So if that's the case, congratulations to Mike Lister for taking the series win overall in this stage of the racing. So we've got 1 lap left. So Prince now crossing the line with Kutlika close behind him in the B race, as we see Cooper and Collins there coming in 11th and 12th place in the A's. So where are we in the women, the hand cycling and the paracycling? So the hand cycling, as you see there at the bottom, is the recumbent type of cycling for those riders who can't use their legs and riding in the recumbent position. And then the paracycling there, and we only have 1 rider, I think, in the paracycling. No, we've got 2 riders there. Sorry, again, it's my eyesight. I apologise. And as we bring up, I'll try and get the names as we bring those up when we get to full screens, and the women in the middle there. So we'll be crossing to them. We've still got plenty of racing there. They do a shorter distance. They do half the distance of the men's A and B race, but we'll certainly pick those up as we go through. And I'll also try and give you some of the updates on who is at the top of those standings as we go through there. So Prince and Kutlika now with half a lap still to go. Half a lap for Prince and Kutlika. I think we're going to see a very, very similar finish to what we saw with Jaeger in the A race. So Kutlika and Prince now not giving anything away, not putting in too big an effort. It's a little bit of a gap now, and they're just about to hit this rise. So this will be where we see who's going to put in the first effort, and this time will the first attacker be the one who wins. I tend to think that if you're the second attacker on a course like this, you've got a target, and all you need to do is get past them, and then the first rider probably tends to mentally think, well, that's it, I've made my effort, I'm not going to be able to sustain it now. So, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Kutlika, if I had to put money on it, I'd put it on Kutlika, just because I've seen him race, and he seemed to be very strong and animating the race as we go through, but that could be the curse of the commentator. So he's got 4 or 5 meters, a little bit of a gap there to Prince, but nothing to worry about. It gets closed very quickly. And nobody giving anything away. They're not putting in any big efforts. I think they're watching each other, waiting to see what's going to happen. They're just not ambling along, but doing three. That's a comfortable effort for both these riders. We get right onto the slope now. We're hitting the 6%, but nobody's putting in a massive effort. Who's going to be the first to really stand on the pedals and put out some big red numbers? Only 200 meters left to go in the B, and still nobody has made an effort. Prince now. Prince now is oh no, he's not putting in a sustained effort. That was a momentary red, but Kutlika has reacted. Maybe that was what Prince wanted, to make Kutlika react. Back off. Kutlika has reacted. He's now putting in over 10 watts per kilo, and has, just at the right time, has hit that rise. I don't think Prince had the big effort in. He made a little bit of an effort Kutlika reacted very quickly, and Prince had nothing to come back. So Kutlika there, great win for Kutlika, but well done, Prince. He got bridged across to Kutlika when Kutlika made the attack, and didn't let him have it all his own way. Made some effort at the end to make Kutlika have to ride hard for the victory. So we're now seeing this group of 5 riders behind, with Nelson, Chan, Harris, the other Nelson, and Broku. So we'll see if Broku can, as I said, Broku is our series leader. So Broku will be looking for a good result, but Harest has put in the effort. Harest is getting across that crest first. Broku right on his wheel, could still get past the line, but no, he's going to be settled for 3rd place. So Harest in 3rd, Broku in 4th. Chan was in 5th, and we've got Nelson, M. Nelson in 6th, and R. Nelson in 7th. So that group finishing pretty much together, with a little bit of effort there right at the end from Harest to take 3rd place on the podium. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to Broku, who I think will seal the series victory in the B race. So didn't need to do anything. He needed to finish up there, needed to finish in the points and make sure that there was somebody close behind, Marianne Hambrick, who I didn't see racing today, and Borders was not far back too, but Borders in the series, but Borders is quite some way back in, I think, 9th place. We're going to see Borders come back after Placido, who we're following here. So definitely won't be overtaking Broku, but Borders, I think, will have done enough, possibly, if Hambrick is not racing, enough to jump into 2nd place. So well done to Brad Borders there. So who we're seeing now? We're seeing the women in the centre of the screen. So Anna Ronkainen there, and Kate Ouellette. So 2 very strong female riders there, and Wittberg in the front. And I'm pretty sure that, so Anna Ronkainen is the series leader, and Kate is not far behind Anna. So those are, Weisberg in 1st place, putting out some big power there, going up 6 watts per kilo up the, this is Christian Weisberg. Okay. Not sure why we have Christian Weisberg in the women's race, or maybe it's a mistake of the. I know that sometimes the avatars come up as. So I'm not. I know sometimes the avatars come up as male riders. That's happened to my wife, who I've recently got onto RGT. For some reason, we cannot get her avatar to be a woman rather than a man. But we're going to stick with Kate and Anna, who are definitely the series leader, and I'm not seeing Weisberg in any of the other riders. So perhaps that's a mistake of getting into this race. But anyway, we'll stick with it, and we'll see what happens. And I'm sure that the RGT and Echelon will sort it out afterwards. Whatever happens, it seems that Kate and Anna have let Weisberg go, perhaps because there is some sort of mistake, and so they won't be affected by anything that Weisberg is doing in the race, and we'll certainly stick with them and see how they fight out this lap. So Kate there, I know is an extremely fit rider, quite a light rider, and is certainly going to have a little bit of advantage over Anna on the constant climbing. But Anna is a very, very good track rider. I believe is the Finnish women's Omnium champion. I, in previous times, have organised quite a lot of track style racing on RGT, and Anna was a regular in the track races, and certainly held her own with some of the top men, was often finishing in top 10, top 5, is very, very good at the Devil, if you've ever seen Devil Race, which is the elimination race that is a favourite of track racing. So Anna is I say Kate, very different types of riders. So Kate will have a good power to watts per kilo ratio, being a very light rider, but probably not as many outright watts. Anna would be able, is a track rider. Track riders usually have bigger outright power, are often a bit heavier or more muscled than your typical road rider. So it's a contrast of styles between these two. Anna will have bigger outright power, I suspect, and Kate will have better watts per kilo. So we'll see how they go together. So there's the confirmation of results there for the men's A. So Jaden Yeager in first place, Johan Nordland in second, and Greg Abbott rounds out the podium in third place. Then we have Jamie Dumper in fourth, Mike Swart in fifth, Torleif Solly sixth, Brian Kellison, Jason Mount, Mike Lister, Gav Ash, John Cooper, Patrick Collins, and Federico Golino are our finishers so far. Interesting there that Patrick Collins, watts per kilo, 4.46, compared to the winner doing only 4.03. In fact, the highest watts per kilo is in 12th place. I mean, that can happen, I guess, if he rode most of the race solo and had nobody to recover with and nobody to sit on a wheel, then that's what happens. That's the effect of having a bit of drafting and a bit of recovery during the race. So we're now in the women's race with Bono there in fifth place. Coming up that little rise, gee, it looks, you can see the cadence slowing down there. Cara Bono in fifth place is already nearly a whole lap down on Kate and Anna in front, but not far behind Armani with the Italian flag. So could potentially get back together, and Giol in 90 meters further back on Bono. So they could get together. We'll see, or maybe they'll end up riding solo. So it'll be, quite a hard race to do solo. Giol there in sixth place with the French flag. They're putting in some red numbers there. The red numbers, by the way, are not. It's not an independent thing, so the red numbers depend on your FTP. For those who aren't familiar with it, your FTP is your functional threshold power, which is don't write in, because I know lots of people. It's always a controversial subject, but it's essentially the power that you can hold for an hour. And there we see Shelley Nevin there in seventh place with the US flag, also grinding up this little rise. So yeah, functional threshold power, it's the power basically that you can hold for an hour. And the way RGT works is those little colored bars beneath the name or next to your name are a function of what power you're putting out, what watts per kilo you're putting out relative to your weight and your FTP. So if your FTP was, say, 240 watts and your weight was 60 kilos, then your FTP benchmark would be 4 watts per kilo. So it would show as sort of yellow, about this sort of power, when you're doing around your FTP. So if you're doing 4 watts per kilo, it would be showing as yellow and going a little bit up into orange. And as you go higher, it goes into orange when you're at VO2, so just above threshold, and then red when you're in the anaerobic, the sort of sprinting level. So that's how it works. And then below that, green is tempo, and the blues are sort of the endurance and recovery. So we're now seeing, what do we see? 3 screens now. We've got the women in the top left corner. We've got the hand cycling. It looks like we've got a pair out in front in the hand cycling. Kovalainen there with the Finnish flag, and Koeman, I think, with the Dutch flag. And another Finnish rider a couple of 100 meters back in the hand cycling. So these pair look like they're going to be riding together. They've got each other's measure. They've got 7 kilometers down with 10 kilometers still remaining. So it looks like we have, a very similar to our previous races, a pair who are going to take it away, work together and maintain their gap to the rest of the field. So they're coming up to this, I'm pretty sure this is the finish line rise, it was very, very shortly ago, a 300 meter, but that gap comes down very quickly as they hit the rise, but they'll maintain that going up. About 120 meters, 100 meters back to Arte in third place. So Koeman there and Kovalainen with their staying out together as we come up this little rise. And I believe the H3 is their classification. If you're familiar with paracycling and the various forms of cycling for people with injuries and disabilities, there are classifications depending on what type of disability or what type of depending on the restrictions that you have in your cycling. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head how they're all defined, but that will be what the H3 is in their name. As we come through, fourth place now is A. Parker, I'm guessing, in crossing the line now with 6 kilometers down and 11.8 kilometers still remaining in fourth place. So nearly a lap down on the front three riders from first to fourth. Now we have in fifth place Costa there with a slightly different classification there. In fifth place is also on this very difficult climb, and the climbing, I believe, with the recumbents is the harder bit. They can often do very good power and speed on the flats and the descents, but climbing is where they really do suffer in terms of a speed penalty, and they have to put in big effort to go climbing up these hills. One of my friends actually in my club of Dulwich is also a hand cyclist who rides with the GB national team, Alex Brooke Turner, and he did if you're familiar with Mont Ventoux in France, one of the classic climbs of the Tour de France. There is a thing you can do of doing the triple ascent of Mont Ventoux. There are 3 ways up Mont Ventoux, and even for fully abled riders, it's a classic thing to do. I mean, very few people successfully do it. To do 3 ascents and to do it with a hand cycle, it's just absolutely amazing. And he wrote a fantastic article for our club magazine on his triple ascent of Mont Ventoux. So we're in the paracycling race now with Berenier, the American flag there, and putting out some good power there, 4 watts per kilo, coming up this little finish rise. Nearly 10 kilometers down for Berenier, with so he's over halfway through this race. But no competitors. Kilgore was on the line, certainly, but doesn't appear to be riding. I don't know whether that's because of a technical problem or some other issue that's affected him during the ride. So Berenier is going to be our winner by default, but not taking it easy. He's certainly putting in some red numbers. If nothing else, would be a good thing to treat it as a training exercise. Most of these riders will probably be competing, probably be going into other races and events, possibly at regional or even national level. So it's a good thing. Up a bit of a wave for Berenier there. Thanks. Yep, wave as he went through the finish line. Maybe he's listening. This is being broadcast on ZMS Facebook page. So if you are watching on the Facebook page or listening, give us a shout. We can bring up the Facebook messages. If you have any questions, I'll, well, if I can answer them, I will. No guarantees. Or just give us a shout and say hello to let us know that you're appreciating the coverage, or give some encouragement to some of the riders. A lot of the riders listen to the broadcasts as they ride, and quite a few of them will go back and watch it afterwards to see how the race played out, which you don't always get a sense of when you're in the race. So if you're following one of the riders, or you're just following the races and want to give some encouragement to these fantastic riders, then give us a shout. So where are we? The women's race, they do the same distance, I think, as the men. So they're coming through the finish line now, 12, so 6 laps down with the women, and 22 kilometers still to go for Anna and Kate. And putting out decent power, the 3.5, 4 watts per kilo as they crest the rise, going past Armani there. and Anna and Kate look like very similar to Prince and Kutlika and Jaeger and Nordland on the previous races. They've formed a little pair. They're going to stay together. No sense in trying to attack the pair that you're riding with unless you really think you can get away with it, but especially if you fancy yourself in a sprint. I think out of this pair that Anna would be the one who would fancy herself in a sprint, given her track background. Not everyone on track has a great sprint, but Anna, I think, has a pretty good sprint. You don't get to be Omnium champion of anywhere without having a decent sprint. So if Kate wants to get something out of this race, and she has, in the series, Kate has 877 points and Anna has 950. So there's only 10 points difference between first and second. So unless Anna has a particular disaster, it's unlikely that she's going to overtake her. But you know, it would be nice for Kate to win one of the races. Anna has taken out a few wins, but I think Kate's second has been her best result. So if Kate wants to do that, she's going to need to drop Anna sometime before the finish and make sure she goes to finish alone. That's my guess anyway. We're seeing now the confirmation in the men's B. So Hakan Kutlika finishing there in first place. Jonathan Prince in second. They came to the line, as we saw, together, with Hakan managing to put in the power just at the right time. Terence Harest in third place, rounding out the podium, and they're about a lap and a half down on the men. So they're about a lap and a half down on the men's A, and so we're seeing, you know, we saw the men mostly over 4 watts per kilo. We saw the A race mostly over 4 watts per kilo. We're seeing the B race at sort of 3.6 to 3.2 on the podium there. David Brocu, our series leader and series winner, I believe, going into this race. So he finished there just off the podium in fourth place, but enough to secure his spot. Albert Chan in fifth, Morin Nelson in sixth, Richard Nelson in seventh. So those 4 riders there, Brocu, Chan, Morin Nelson and Richard Nelson, all finished together in a nice little bunch. Albert Chan, wow, very efficient riding there from Albert, 2.87 watts per kilo. Not quite, but certainly the lowest of those top riders. So he was playing it very clever and getting in the draft and getting in the wheels to make sure that he didn't do more than he had to. My first rule. Then going down to eighth place, João Placido, was the Portuguese rider. Brad Borders, who I've closed the thing, but Brad, I think if I remember correctly, was in third place in the series. So well done to Brad. Doug Hackleton has also been regularly doing some of these ridings, so well done to Doug. And well done to Doug too for that little effort that he made during the race to catch up with that bunch, even though he ended up being dropped and I think being overtaken by a couple of riders. But it's good to see people putting in efforts during the race. Andrew Billing in 11th, Gary Little, Brennan Nelson in 13th, Francisco Aponte. We didn't see much of these riders during the race because obviously we were following the front. And they're about, about 8 minutes down on the front riders. Harry Roberts in 15th, Nicholas Mutis 16th, Kerry Tyler 17th, Tyler Adcock in 18th, Daniele Brumana in 19th, and Mark Helfenstein in 20th place, 15 minutes back on our leaders. So well done to all those riders who took part in the men's B race. We certainly had 2 very good races in the men's A and the men's B race. We're having very good races here with the women, the paracycling and the hand cycling. So it's amazing how these races are mirroring each other, with pairs breaking away and riding strongly and seemingly happy to stay together and fight it out at the end. Well, a bit early to say in the women's race, but certainly in the hand cycling on the bottom left of the screen there, Kovalainen and Kuhlmann seem to have each other's measure, and they're just sticking it out together. So they're both now in that yellow-orange zone, which means they're around threshold. So that's for them 2.3, 2.5 2.5. What's there? Cumin's orange at 2.5. So guessing that threshold there. Kovalainen there, putting in some red. They very quickly go into the red there. But looks like their threshold is about 2.4, 2.5 watts per kilo when they're in the yellow-orange zone. But over 3 is red for them. And that's not surprising. That's that 9-10% part of the slope. So 9 or 10% is a pretty steep gradient, certainly very steep for a hand cycle. And they're having to put in a big effort every time they come across this little rise up to the finish line. So maybe a bit of practice. They've got 3 laps to go. So Kumin there hitting the rise just ahead of Kovalainen, who now comes ahead. And Kumin will be able to pick up the draft behind Kovalainen. It seems to be the way. Kovalainen seems very happy to sit on the pace that he's comfortable with, do his own race, and Kumin getting the advantage of being behind. To be honest, never having tried this, I'm not sure. I mean, obviously there is some aerodynamic advantage. I'm not sure, given the lower profile of the recumbents, whether it's exactly the same aerodynamics. If anybody is watching on Facebook and knows how the aerodynamics work in terms of the number that's often talked about with upright bikes is 30 to about a third, 30 to 40% that you save in terms of aerodynamics being behind somebody. I'd be interested to know whether that's the same in the hand cycling. So we're coming up now with Arte, another Finnish rider, who is only about 400 and by the time we cross the line, going to be about 500 meters, a bit over 500 meters behind Kovalainen and Kumin, but a very comfortable gap of a full lap back between third and fourth. So unfortunately Arte not able, I guess, to quite keep up with Kovalainen and Kumin, but will ride his own race and keep a steady power to finish the race and almost certainly take out third place. So we saw Parker there crossing the line in fourth place, and now we're skipping back to Costa in fifth, who is another half a lap back behind Parker and 2 laps behind Kovalainen and Kunin. And here we have Drosky, an H4 rider in 6th place, who's maybe having some technical difficulties because he's going to 0 there, although his avatar is still moving. But although maybe he's, given that he's stopped on the steepest part of the climb, maybe just finding that now he's over nearly 3 laps down, finding it difficult. No, he's picked up again. So could be connection difficulties, could just be difficulty in terms of effort. As I said, it's an 8 to 10% climb up here. Not easy for anyone, let alone doing it by hand. So Drosky there safely crests that rise. He's picked up the power again, and will continue around with 5 laps to go for Drosky. Hopefully not with a technical problem. Maybe he just needed to make some adjustment to his bike or to himself in real life, and was just pausing there. Hopefully we'll be able to continue and finish the race. And we're seeing Varenyi now keeping up a good effort in the top right. Unfortunately, nobody to race against, but not letting that stop him. He's there wearing the Stages cycling kit. Not sure if he's on a Stages trainer, who knows. So yeah, putting in a good effort there, 5 watts per kilo going up this climb. So he's certainly, even though there is nobody there, he's acting as if there is, and making it a good training effort. So that's always a good mental thing to do, and a hard mental thing to do if you haven't got anybody riding against you. But well done to Varenyi for keeping up the effort and not just rolling around. Why not? He's made the effort to come and join the race, set up his equipment and get everything ready, so you want to get something out of it while you're doing it. So Varenyi there has now on his last lap. So he's got just under 2 kilometers to go. He's done 16, so he'll be on his last lap, which I think means we must be, yeah, the hand cycling still has 2 laps to go. So 2 laps to go in the hand cycling, and I think the women have just crossed the finish line as well, with 8 laps to go. So Kate and Anna, no, they're just about to cross the finish line. So I was slightly premature. So Kate and Anna still keeping their lead by quite some distance. I think they're over a lap now back to the rider behind them. So they will keep tapping it out and marking each other as we go around this course, making sure that none of them get away. So it'll be interesting to see what Kate is doing. I'm just having a quick look through some of the races to see how much Kate and Anna have actually raced each other. So there was a race, the Tour of the Gila, no, that was the Tulsa Tough race. So Tulsa Tough, Anna won the race, and it looks like Kate was in 3rd place in that event. And similarly, the Intelligentsia Cup, which was only last week, Anna won the race and Kate was 2nd. So they have raced a couple of times against each other in fairly recent weeks. So Kate will know from the look of those 2 races, it looks exactly as I thought, that Anna has the beating of Kate in a sprint. I don't know, I haven't seen the actual races to see whether they came to the line together, but that would be my guess, knowing Anna's profile, that Anna has the beating of Kate in a sprint. Kate does actually ultra endurance events, and Kate is an absolutely amazing rider. I think, apologies if this is incorrect, Kate, but I think from reading your stuff on Facebook, so Kate is very active on the RGT Facebook pages, that Kate is, I think, a fairly recent convert to cycling, but is extremely fit, has a very active, fit lifestyle, and a few years ago converted to, or took up cycling in a big way, and has been doing some ultra endurance, like things like Ride Across America. She did a virtual version of Ride Across America last year, and I think has been training for some other ultra endurance races. So those are the ones where you ride for literally days on end, and you just have to you have to be ultra fit. You have to keep out steady power. Whereas Anna is much more specialist in the short type of racing. So here we're going down to the paracycling. We've got Berenier coming up to the line. He's not going to have anybody to sprint against, but he is going to honour the race and respect the jersey with a nice little sprint coming up this rise, putting in a good 5 watts per kilo with 160 meters to go. Gets out of the saddle there virtually and possibly in real life as well. Coming up to the line now with 100 meters to go, putting in a big effort. Hopefully he might give us a wave or a victory salute as he crosses the line. So well done to Berenier for keeping going despite having no competition. Thank you. Yes, a wave as we cross the line. Well done. Yeah, great ride. And yeah, unfortunate to not have any competition, but we could see that he was definitely putting in a big effort in the right parts of the race. So probably not that much different to if he'd have had someone pushing him around the course, and hopefully got some good training effort out of it. So well done to Berenier there in the paracycling. And now we can cross, I think, back to the hand cycling, which I think we probably should cross back to as we come up to this Kate and them going across the line. So Kuman and Kovalainen coming up this rise now for the last time on their laps. They're just about to lap Drosky, who we saw having some, well, we're not sure if it's technical difficulties or physical difficulties coming up, or effort difficulties coming up this effort. It's certainly a big climb. Kuman now putting in a little bit of a gap. Could this be an effort by Kuman to distance Kovalainen? I'm going to try and bring up the results to see whether Kuman and Kovalainen have been racing together. So I'm not seeing them on the I'm not seeing them previously in any of the races, but maybe I'm looking, I'm looking at the wrong thing. So that was Bremery. Let me bring up the other, the hand cycling. So Kuman now putting in, he's got 20 meters on Kovalainen as we get to the top. That will quickly extend with 1 lap to go. So this could be Kuman's effort to distance Kovalainen and make sure he goes to the line alone. So yeah, I'm looking at the series results here of Koeman. Koeman is actually the series leader. Has won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 races. So a very strong rider. Kovalainen, I do not see. Yeah, I'm looking. Kovalainen, I'm not seeing the name in any previous races. So this could be Kovalainen's first race in the series. Apologies if I've got that wrong, but that's what my screen is telling me. So possibly an unknown quantity. So Koeman may be taking the safe route here and thinking, well, I don't know this rider. I'm going to distance him and make sure that I go to the line alone. What better way to win a race? Although it is entirely possible they do. It's a small bike racing in general is a small world, and hand cycling. I think particularly at the top level, a lot of the riders do tend to know each other. They bump into each other at training and events and so on. So possibly they are known to each other, but not in this series. So Koeman now has taken the chance of that little rise to put in a nice attack, and is keeping a good power. He's keeping at 2.5. Who said that was probably about the threshold for Koeman. So he's not letting up. Kovalainen has dropped back a little bit, although we are going down this hill. So taking a little bit of recovery to see if he can maybe put in effort. But that gap has very quickly gone out to 80, 90 meters with only 1 kilometer left to go. So it looks like Koeman has put in an attack at exactly the right time, and he's going to consolidate his string of victories with yet another victory, and take the series win very decisively. Koeman is on 1,780 points ahead of Jones, who I don't think is racing today, on 1,490, Parker on 710. Arte, who we see on our screen there in 3rd place, is in 4th place overall. So Kovalainen and Koeman now with 500 meters to go, coming up this rise again for the last time. The gap has come down to 20 meters. Could Kovalainen take it back? 500 meters to go. Kovalainen putting in over 3 watts per kilo. So maybe Koeman has, we'll see if Koeman has kept anything for the end, because they've still got another 200 or 350 meters of this rise to go before they get to that final little plateau ahead of the finish. Koeman keeping it steady, 2.5 watts per kilo. Kovalainen was putting in some big numbers there of 3, but there's a little bit of the gradient is back to sort of +1, so nearly flat, and then it comes up again. So maybe Kovalainen just taking a little bit of recovery. 20 meters, that is doable. It's absolutely doable if Kovalainen has the effort left in his arms as we go up this final rise. So 25 meters. This is a thrilling finish in the hand cycling. Koeman they're both going into the red. Similar numbers, 3.1 for Koeman, can't say 3.2 for Kovalainen. Nobody's giving up here. They're fighting it out to the end. So it was probably very wise of Koeman to get that little gap. If he was together with Kovalainen, I suspect Kovalainen would have gone past him if they'd have come to this rise together. So Kovalainen is definitely gaining ground on Koeman here. Gone back to under 20 meters, but no, Koeman kicks again. Koeman kicks again with over 3 watts per kilo. He waited until Kovalainen was within 20 meters, but has kicked again, I think at exactly the right time. He will make it to that. There we see him just get to that crest. We've got 80 meters to go. Kovalainen is not going to make up that ground in that last as Koeman get to the flat before. So wow, what a great finish that was from Koeman and Kovalainen, and a great effort from Kovalainen to try and get that ground back as they hit that final rise. Certainly gave it everything that he had, but not enough to take it back. And Arte there, the other Finnish rider, is we're seeing some movement in the women's race as well. We'll just finish with Arte going across the line here. No, we're going to go to the we're going to have both screens. Okay, so Arte there on your right on third place, but what we see in the women's race is Kate has made her move still with 10 kilometers to go, but Kate absolutely has the endurance to keep it going. She'll know what power she can sit on for the next 10 kilometers. And Kate has made her move on Anna to try and get away as we come up this little climb to the finish with 5 laps. So last time we saw them, they had 6 laps to go. So sometime in that lap, Kate has made a move. Very sensible of Kate to try and distance Anna and make sure she gets to the line without Anna to contend with. So it's still only 150 to 160 meters. Kate going into the red there as she gets to the crest of the finish rise, the rise up to the finish. She'll now go across a very similar sort of place to where Arte is. But Anna will be, by the time Anna gets to the top, that gap will be 200 to 300 meters. So Kate has a good, handy lead over Anna Ronkainen as we hit 5 laps to go. So it'll be interesting to see. Kate, as I said, being an ultra endurance rider, and also, as I say, being very, actually very into diet and other things in terms of her lifestyle, Kate. So she's very in tune with her body, is what I'm trying to say. Always paying attention to what she's eating, what she's doing, how she's training. So Kate, more than most people, would have a very good sense of what she can keep doing for the rest of the race. So it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully she's paced it and be able to get it going. So we're going to cross back now to the hand cycling with Arte coming up with just over 100 meters to go, just about to hit the crest of that finish rise and cross the line in 3rd place. And that's a great effort from Mika Arte there, who's in 4th place overall in the series. Was distanced fairly early on by Kuman Kovalainen, but didn't fade away, kept the gap to about 500, 600 meters for the whole race, and will cross the line in 3rd place. Good effort there from Mika Arte. So we had Dutch in the 1st place and a finish 2 and 3 on the podium. As we see, was it Parker there, I think, in 4th place with still a lap to go. So Kate Boulette. I've seen Kate's name so many times on Facebook and on RGT. I'm not actually sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but Kate, somebody who knows Kate or Kate herself can tell me if I'm getting it wrong, but that's what I'm going for now. Not even sure where it's from, Oulette. It sounds French. So I thought for a while that it might be French or Canadian, who knows? But she's got the American flag and is riding very strongly with 4.5 laps to go in the women's. And there's Anna not giving up behind her, but the gap has gone out to 600 meters as Anna comes down this little descent on a 4% downward slope there, getting a bit of recovery. You can see her numbers now, 0.6, 0.8, just putting out some, just turning over, glass pedaling, as we say in real life, just turning over the pedals. Well, there's a good thing. You always, it's one of the other things that you notice pros and elite riders very rarely don't coast as much. It's one of the big differences between pros and amateurs. Amateurs tend to coast a lot, freewheel a lot, and stop pedaling. Pros always pedal. Pros keep pedaling a lot because if they need to, the teeth within the hub engage much more quickly if you're already pedaling. Here we see is it Cara Bono in 4th place now, quite some way back. That's nearly 2. Yep, she's just about to be overtaken by Kate, I think. So that's a 2-lap. Yep. So Cara now coming up to the finish line. She has just under 6 laps to go in 4th place and will be shortly overtaken by Kate with 2 laps ahead. And here we have, we saw Armani, then we saw Dora in 6th place, still putting in a good effort. Eva Maria Dora with the German flag They're cresting that little rise. She's been through the finish line and is now on the downward descent. I say descent. I'm only hesitating about saying descent because I think descent is like a mountain. It's a downward incline on a course like this, because they're only short and they're not particularly steep. But it's definitely down, and it's definitely a place to get a bit of recovery. So here is our rider out the front of Iceberg. So we're not quite sure what the story is with Weisberg, but at least on the road has a lead. Kate Ouellette there in second place, and second place in the series. And yeah, just tapping it out. Steady 3.5 watts per kilo for Kate. And she'll keep doing that as Cara Bono has latched onto Kate's wheel. Very sensible from Cara there. She's quite some way down. She's no threat to Kate, so if she can stay on her wheel, particularly on these downward sections, get a bit of extra recovery, get a bit of extra speed, and even though it might not make any difference in terms of placing, it means that she finishes a bit faster, saves a bit more energy, and can recover more quickly afterwards, and that's what it's all about. So we're now looking at Parker here, Austin Parker, who is say in the MH3 category, H3 category, and is finishing in fourth place in the hand cycling with 600 meters to go. That 600 meters is the final climb, so it's not an easy 600 meters, but Austin Parker will take it up the little rise. Is now on the 5-6% slope, has a little bit of 8 to 10% still to come, so not finished yet by some distance or some pain, still to come as he comes to finish in fourth place. And Parker was in third place. Austin Parker was in third place overall in the series on 710 points, quite some distance behind second place, but we'll finish in third place over the series. Arte was in fourth place, but not enough to overtake Parker. So well done to Parker, who has done 1, 2, 3, 4 races before this, and seems to have had a couple of thirds, 3 thirds, and a fourth place finish. So good consistent racing from Austin Parker there, and will be rewarded with a third place podium for the series and a fourth place for today. So 200, just under 300 meters now for Austin Parker. The hardest part of this little course, as he comes up to try to get that rise, that crest just before the finish, is with about 80-90 meters to go. So he's still got just about 150 meters of climbing, 6%. I think we'll see it kick up to 8% just in a few meters. So it's the hardest part still to go, but he's going to keep pushing it up here. We're seeing him doing steady power, so 1.5. I didn't get a sense before of what Parker's FTP sort of threshold power was, but he's in the green, which means tempo. Tempo is sort of 80%, 85% of FTP, going into just from green into yellow there. So yeah, it's a decent effort. It's the sort of effort you can do for fairly long periods of time. Slightly above endurance pace, but sort of between endurance and sweet spot sort of pace, I guess you would say. And he will keep it going, as we've seen all these riders do. Even if they're riding alone, they keep it going to the line. Why not? That's what racing is all about. It's drilled into you as a racer that you don't want to coast across the line. You always make a bit of an effort for the people who are standing on the line, cheering, taking photos, and so on. So Parker now with just a few meters of climbing still to go, nearly at that crest, just about to hit it. Right now we'll see that slope go very quickly, immediately down to 0. Speed picks up, from 13, 14 kilometers up to 20 kilometers an hour, over 20 kilometers, 25, as he is about to about to wheel across the line in 4th place. Well done to Austin Parker. And now we're back lap to Costa, and we'll keep him on the split screen there, but we'll pick him up as he crosses the line, coming back into once he's completed another lap. So looks like quite a big gap has come out from Kate to Anna. It's got big very quickly. What was it? It was about 4.5 kilometers ago that we saw Kate breaking away. But in that space of time, the gap has gone out from a few hundred meters the last time we saw to 1.4 kilometers. So Anna has really, really eased off here. She's you can see the numbers there. She's sort of doing a steady. Anna, behind is doing 2 and 3, whereas Kate is doing 4 watts per kilo as we come up this little rise. So Kate has put the hammer down at exactly the right moment. So great tactics, Kate. She obviously learned from her previous brushes with Anna not to take Anna to the line, as I said earlier, and has done exactly that. She's put in a good move from a fairway out, where Anna would be probably thinking that's a bit much for her to be able to, a bit much for not being an endurance type of rider. Anna would have been thinking that's a bit early for a move for her, whereas for Kate, being an ultra endurance rider, it was absolutely the perfect time. So Kate now with the Team Lou jersey on her back. Kate can be found pretty much riding every weekend. I guess not today, but I would be willing to bet she'll be there tomorrow. Team Lou, Lou Ricks is a very long-term RGT rider and organises one of the best attended group rides on Sunday afternoons. They're at 3 o'clock UK time, which I think might be 10 or 11 o'clock, depending on where you are in the US. It's a great place. Often when people come to RGT and say, where do I start? Then Lou's ride on the weekends is the place that they get pointed to, because it has some fast riders who do it as a not official race, but do a pretty hard ride up front. But then has big groups in the middle and at the back, and nobody is left alone in Team Lou Team Lou rides. And so it's a great place for new riders who are still trying to work out how the draft works, work out how they ride on RGT, and so on. Some riders who just aren't as fit or are only new to it. So everybody makes sure that nobody is left alone on the Team Lou ride. So it's why it's often a place where people get pointed to start. So Kate very proudly wearing the Team Lou jersey there, because I know Kate does the Team Lou rides very often. So Anna there in her Pactamo jersey is coming up on that rise, but is over half a lap down on Kate. So I think Anna is just going to, again, take it steady. She's in no danger from Cara Bono, who is nearly 2 laps further down on Anna. So Anna is perfectly safe in that place behind Kate. She's safe in terms of the series because she had a lead over Kate coming into this final race. So, that's sensible. As I said, don't do anything you don't have to. Although I know Anna is a very competitive rider, so I'm sure if she had the chance, even though she doesn't need to win this race, that she would absolutely be trying to win, and would certainly have given Kate, if the tactics had played out differently, Anna would certainly be competing for the win today, but Kate has made sure that that's not going to happen. So we're now back to 4th place with Cara Bono, who is out on her own. Armani about 500 meters behind, and Anna over a lap and a half ahead. So Cara Again, not really any going to make much difference in terms of placings, but is just going to make sure that she keeps riding and finish the race strongly and finish the race in a way that she's happy with. That's what you have to come away with from a race, to make sure that you've left everything out there, that you haven't done anything that you've done everything you thought you could to get your best results, and not left anything out there. Don't, as I say, don't come away with any questions. So we're going to go back to the split screen now. We've got Cara Bono on the left, and we've got Costa there. I'm just trying to see in my results if I can see his first name. No, I don't think Costa has done any of the previous rides, not on my list anyway. So Costa there, one of the first time riders in this series, but is finishing there in 5th place, as just under a kilometre to go, and it's that hardest 500 or 600 metres of the climb. And after Costa, it would just be Drosky. It would just be Drosky to finish. It's the difficulty when you don't have a co-commentator. You don't get a moment to go and have a sip of tea or a drink. But I've got my water bottle from earlier when I was doing my own ride on RGT earlier today. So we have the women on the left, and we have Costa now grinding up that 5% slope. Not easy going, very much not easy going on a hand cycle. Here's Weisberg at the front of the women's race. Has not a massive gap. I mean, it's a kilometre. So it's not a gap that's going to be beaten. But Kate has managed to keep that. So Christian Weisberg. Again, we're not sure about why that's a men's avatar. It could be that it's somehow a male rider in the race, but I'll leave that to the commentators and the judges afterwards. Could just be a visual mistake, but it has 250 metres to go now as we come up to the finish. So we're going to watch Weisberg cross the line, and is just going to lap Armani again just before that little rise coming up to the line. So 180 metres to go, about 100 metres of climbing, putting in a good effort there, 5 watts per kilo. Certainly not as much as you would need to do for a sprint finish, but making sure that he's putting in some effort, she's putting in some effort as we come up to the finish, and will be the first to cross the line in the women's race. 60 metres to go now, putting down a bit of power. Victory salute if they know how to do it, or at least a wave, but we'll see. So there we go, Weisberg now crossing the line, which means Kate not far behind, only less than 500 metres to go for Kate. So we're going to watch Kate come across the line. Oh, Costa there, really struggling coming up this slope. The avatar looked like it stopped moving for a while there. But come on, Costa. This is the last one. This is the last one you have to do. So 300 metres left. Making all that effort, coming up that so many times, 8 times before. One more to go, and I'm sure Costa has it in him to be able to. Sorry, the F. Sorry, I hadn't noticed that before. I think means female rider. So apologies for misgendering there. Costa there coming up, and will come across in 5th place. There's Kate now on the left. Coming up second across the line, but we'll see what happens in the women's racing. So Kate made a great move, 10 kilometres out, dropped Anna, made sure that she didn't take Anna, who is a great sprinter, to the line, and that has paid off brilliantly for Kate. Well done, Kate, using her ultra endurance skills to cross the line in second over the line there, and ahead of Anna, her big rival in the series, by quite some distance, another 1.6 kilometres further back. So that was a really decisive move that Kate made in the women's race that saw Anna off, made sure that Anna was not going to be on Kate's wheel crossing the line. But Anna is a great competitor, and it's great to see her racing on RGT. And as I say, she often does some of the track cycling and has been doing quite a lot of these races as well. And I'm guessing in Finland it's certainly over winter, indoor riding is very much the thing to do. So we're with Costa there, 120, so just another 30 meters to go before she can cross the line, or not cross the line, before she can relax a little bit, and the speed will pick up, and that will be all the effort done for Costa there in the FH0. So H0, I guess, is the I don't know how I didn't see that. Holly Costa. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't see that. I am now looking at the list and I see that Holly has done some of the previous races, is in 8th place overall, and did the previous 2 races, the Tulsa Tough and the Intelligentsia Cup, with 170, 175, which means similar sort of finishes, 4th and 5th, I think, place finishes. So well done to Holly for doing those previous races and finishing 5th in this race. Don't know why I didn't see that name before, but obviously I'm not looking in the right. Difficult with all the screens up, but well done, Holly, crossing the line in 5th place there. And Drosky now, last rider, H4 category, with 600 meters to go, and that will be our last of the hand cycling races crossing the line. So he's just about to hit that climb, that last 500-600 meters crossing, getting up to the finish. So we're seeing Anna now. She's just a little bit ahead of where Drosky is virtually, with 300, just under 300 meters to go. So another 150, 600, 160 meters to go to get to the top of that crest, and we'll then cross the line, 3rd across the line in the women's, 2nd behind Kate Ouellette, but enough to guarantee that Anna will triumph in the women's series. So well done, Anna. She's had a great series. She's had 1, 2, 3 wins. It looks like a 3rd and a 4th. That's great going. So 2 wins on the trot. The last 2 weeks, Anna has been the winner, with Kate in 3rd and Kate 2nd. So that's turned around for the final. Obviously, Kate, as I said, learned how to pick Anna's pocket and make sure she didn't come to the line with her. So Anna now, 80 minutes to go, will cross the line and guarantee her top place in the series and 3rd place on today's stage, subject to any post-race changes, as Dora now flashes past us, still finishing. So Drosky here, 300 meters to go, so come on, similar. I think that part of the problem here is because the hand cyclists don't put out the same power that the upright cyclists will do. The algorithms, what happens in the virtual cycling is once you get below a certain power, it thinks that you're stopping or you're slowing, and it takes you to the line. So some of these riders, particularly on these hard slopes at the end here, their power has gone down. So to the point where RGT thinks that, the platform thinks that they might be slowing down, and we've seen a few of them moving to the side of the course. But Drosky there keeping a good power, 1.2 watts per kilo, steady power coming up this slope, with just over 200 meters to go before he gets to the line. I'm saying he, hopefully I haven't got that wrong again, but dare I say it again, I don't think Drosky has done, although I was wrong the last time I said that about Holly, but I do not see, checking again, I don't see Drosky's name on the list of riders for the previous event. So I think this is Drosky's first race. But hopefully we'll be back for more. And hopefully with RGT having the hand cycling recumbent avatars, more and more of these hand cyclists will come to RGT, both for their training and for their racing. And it's so great to see Echelon. I mean, Echelon you can have a look. I mean, Echelon have their own website, so I won't try and summarize, but Echelon is very involved with veterans in the States, and disabled and wounded veterans in the States, and does a lot of activities and support for them in terms of awareness and support for various physical activities. So this is very much in line with Echelon's mission to support veterans. So Josky now with 80 meters to go, just up above that. Yep, there we go, gone green. It's all easy from here. Josky, well done for finishing in 6th place in the hand cycling. So great effort there. Great to see all these riders finishing the race and not giving up, even though those 8, 9, 10% slopes must be absolute hell to go up in hand cycle. Well done to all the riders in the hand cycling and the paracycling, Joe Bereni as well, that we saw earlier. As we now cross back to the women, and we're going to follow Cara Bono, who has just under a lap left to go in the women's race. So we'll follow this for the last couple of riders. So we'll follow probably up to, Dora is not far behind, so we'll follow Bono and Dora as they cross the line, with Giel still some way back. You can watch later on, I think we'll be starting very shortly. If I can find it, I will tell you. The pro race coming up later on. Nope, I haven't got that in front of me, but the pro race will come on. I'm sure if you check on ZMS Facebook page, you will get the schedule of races there. You can see the names going across the bottom there. ZMS live stream. Oh, pro is, sorry, my mistake. The pro is next week. Sorry about that. So the pro racing is next week. So come back next week to watch the Pro Series. There it is on the screen. What am I saying? Echelon Racing League Pro Series is next weekend, and there's the website there that you can check out, echelonracingleague.com, to get the schedule of events and watch the pro races next week. So come back for that. All of it being broadcast on ZMS live stream, who do a fantastic range of racing. The Echelon Racing, a lot of RGT racing. There's all sorts of racing takes place during the week on RGT, some of it, a lot of it organised by the community, and you'll see a lot of these names that you're seeing today in some of the races during the week. So Cara Bono now with 300, just under 400 metres to go until she crosses the line, and then I think it was Eva Maria Dora not far behind her. And we'll cross the line. Not only, I think, partly need to go because my family is waiting for me to make pizza for them. I've made pizza dough, and my daughter is home for the weekend. She's training to be a pro rider of a different kind, of the things that have 4 legs. And she's back for the weekend and asked for pizza tonight. So it is my fatherly duty to go and make pizza for my daughter. As Cara Bono now with 130 metres, she's nearly at that crest. Great riding from Cara to keep up the effort. A lot of these riders were riding pretty much solo the whole time, which is hard to keep up the effort, hard to keep up a good rate, but good training and good mental training to keep going. So Cara Bono now crossing the line, 4th in the women's race, and Eva Maria Dora will be not far behind her. She's nearly up. She's got about 150 metres to go on this little climb. And we'll cross the line, and we'll wrap it up after that. But if you want to see more of the racing and catch the results, so the final results will be on the website. You saw before then the Echelon Racing League echelonracingleague.com. Go to echelonracingleague.com for all the results in all the events. So the men's AB, the women's, the paracycling, the hand cycling, all those results you can find if you go into the Echelon Racing League website, as well as the calendar and the start times. Eva Maria Dora over there, well done, crossing the line in 5th place to finish off our coverage of the Joe Martin Stage Race Community Series in Fayetteville. So it's been great racing. We've seen some really good rides. We saw mostly pairs. We saw some great pairs out in front in the men's A and B race who really pushed it all the way to line. We had great racing from Kate and Anna in the women's until Kate made her decisive move with a good 10 kilometers to go. And similarly in the hand cycling with Kuman and Kovalainen taking it up in the hand cycling, staying together, and Kuman making the decisive move to come away with the hand cycling. So great racing from everybody today. I hope you've enjoyed the racing today. I hope you've enjoyed the commentary. It's been my first time on the community racing, but I've certainly enjoyed doing it. I hope you've enjoyed ZMS live stream. As I say, to do fantastic coverage. Check out their Facebook page for all the events that ZMS live stream do, and check out echelonracingleague.com for all the results from all the series, as well as the Pro Series coming up, and make sure you join for those races. Thanks for watching. I hope you have the rest of your weekend is great. You get some riding in. Thanks for joining us. See you again soon. Bye.